Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS Winter Americas. We're moving into the final match of today's broadcast. It is going to be an awesome Zerg versus Zerg. It's going to be commentated by myself, Fear Dragon, as well as Zombie Grub, joined with me at the desk. How are you feeling about this match?
Oh man, I'm just thinking. I could have said Group G for Grub. I never went down that path.
I was thinking Group G for, like, you know, GG, good game, and that kind of stuff.
Well, Nate already did all that. He was looking for new things. I couldn't really supplement.
Group G for Grub.
I don't know why I never thought about that.
Because you were not hungry enough for an answer. Get it? Because Grub is food. We're moving into a Zerg versus Zerg between TLO and Silky. TLO showing some great games today. Showed a really dominating performance in the first series of the day. But came up a little bit short versus Coffee. Silky had a bit of a tough start. Managed to make it work in the match versus Seether, but now is going to be fighting for his tournament life as well.
Yeah, you know, the last time they played didn't go so hot for Silky. This is going to be a little bit worrying. He looked very, very comfortable, very strong in the ZvZ matchup, and it's going to happen again here. Starting off on, this is like the first time today that we've been on New Repugnancy.
Yeah, we rarely see anything besides Cyber Forest and maybe like 2 other maps.
Yeah, okay, well then. In the bottom left. No, they definitely played on this map before. I just haven't had to say the name before. Anyways, in the bottom left is the blue Zerg. It is TLO. That's where they double early pulled, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And up at the top right, we have the red Zerg player from Psystorm Gaming. He is Silky. Nick McNeese, and sometimes when he cheeses, it's Nick McCheese.
You know, I'm really glad I never got a name that started like, you know, Mick names, McDonald, McPowell, or something like that. Because it's so easily like made fun of. I feel everyone just adds Mick to something, and suddenly it's like,
I'm so clever.
It's a joke. It's oh my god.
Well, I think that one's more clever because his name is Nees, McNeese, and then you just change the N to a CH. I think that's more clever than just adding a Mick to something.
Maybe, but not that much more clever. Anyways, so we have Silky going for the scouting pool location instead of like blocking his gas guys or drones, and then TLO is like, I don't care where my pool goes.
For those who don't know, what Zombie was talking about with the scouting pool location is usually I think you have that spawning pool on the further outer edges because it provides some extra vision of your main, and you can see things like banelings that are maybe morphing into the corner, right?
But the trade-off is that, you know, you could also put your spawning pool here and then your queen here, and then suddenly you got this nice little nook. It's also, you know, if banelings are running in, they go around instead of through. Yep. So it's a trade-off. That's why I was kind of, you know, joking about TLOs not doing anything.
Yeah. Always possible. I guess later on you could always throw up your... Well, no, you want their baneling nest at the low ground to try and create a little bit of a wall and stuff, so I guess you don't exactly want that in the main base usually.
Probably not going to impact this game heavily.
Yeah.
As they both go for the hatches. And, well, we do have the first difference, which is TLO went for the gas, but then... Oh, I spoke too soon.
Well,
yeah. All right, I spoke perfectly timed. Excuse you. Not that you said anything. But the layer is on the way, so the 100 gas wasn't for speed.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be a nice little move from TLO to just bypass the Baneling phase entirely. Silky is making a few more Lings on top of the ones he already has, so he's going to get some scouting information. He has a third base on the way, pushing back the Overlords as well. Is that going to be a fake out third? It's 25 workers is a low enough count that he could just go for a big speedling all in, but no. There's the round. 7 drones pop on out immediately after that larva inject finishes up.
Well, I think this is the first time he scouted what the true intention of the TLO was, because until now, things would have looked like we both could be going for the third base, and then if you go to the third base, you kind of have to make like 14 Lings. But then Silky got the sight on the front wall off, kind of has a better idea as to where this could be going. Probably thinking about the last series as well. Gonna try to break through the queens. The drones are pulled. They can drone drill to help out. There we go.
Doesn't want to end up losing too many of these drones, and the Lynx do manage to make their way into the main base and scout out the lair, being already done. So he should have a very good idea of exactly what TLO is up to, and the fact that Zergling Speed clearly has been skipped at this point. Roach is popping on out, also confirms that it's not going to be some cute Spire play super fast or anything like that.
Yeah, it's great that he pushed through because he gets 2 queens and a lot of lost mining time for the drones, but I feel like this could, in like a weird way, be like an anti-timing for the scout, because you could kind of figure out that they're going for roaches +1 missile and a lair, but those tricky things are like, you know, seeing that it's a Spire, for instance, which wouldn't happen this quickly, I don't think anyways. But it might just be, or I guess more topically, like the Nidus Worm play would have happened, I think, like after the Lings left anyways.
That's true.
So he definitely wants another scout.
I guess you get to scout on the 3rd and 4th gas geysers. I wish that I remembered exactly how many gas geysers TLO had when he threw down the super fast Nidus Worm. It may have just been 2, but I think it was 3. Maybe.
No, it should be more than 2.
Yeah. Okay, well, we do have +1 missile attack getting close to finishing up here for TLO, as well as Roach speed, as the Roaches could decide to start making their way across the map, but in fact, he has gone back into droning and just has 6 Roaches, already forced 9 out of Silky. Both these players are just thinking about their economies for now.
So TLO is going to have the kind of double upgrades. I mean, it was a little mistimed. There we go. Is he going to get Carapace as soon as he has the extra gas, I suppose?
He's had that evolution chamber for a while because it was part of the wall off. I think it was just a defensive thing.
Okay, well.
He did, but you're right. I think he did go for a Carapace upgrade in one of the other games.
Well, I think we cast a couple of ZvZs.
Yeah.
It's like if you get to that +2 missile, if you there is the choice to add on that Carapace as well and just have a strong, stable Roach army, but not going for the Carapace, rather going for the Nidus Worm play again. This is more the macro version that we were seeing from him in the very first game against Silky today. And they'll see if Silky has a better response. Remember, he defended like 4 different attempts, and it was like the 5th or 6th one that did him in. So what's going to happen here? I said a Nidus Worm, and then he cancelled for a Spire. Well, TLO, could you stop doing that as soon as I talk about it?
He's just keeping you on your toes.
Thanks, TLO.
You can see that there's a lot more army supply here for Silky, just because he has been focused on non-stop Roach production for his army, whereas TLO has been trying to do this other teching up, and as soon as Roach speed finishes up, I guess +2 weapons will still be a little bit of a ways off. We could see Silky maybe trying to make a push out at some point, even just trying to poke forward, see what's at the 3rd base. I guess he's been getting some scouting information from the Overlords. I really just want to know, when does Silky feel like it's okay to push out? Because he does have such a significant army advantage, it's just a question of whether he realizes it.
Yeah, that is always tough, isn't it? So the Overseer did see the Spire before it died. Very nice scout for Silky, so that would go into like, when do you decide to push out? And seeing it being already on the way, I guess you're going to go ahead and keep your Roaches at home. Just get to Hydras. You're on a very stable macro game, so there's no reason really to try and risk it by running your Roaches through and hitting them before the mutas pop out. Your 4th base at a pretty decent time, I would expect. Silky is ahead in this game, but we'll see how the mutas control it.
Yeah.
I do want to just throw it in there, let TLO going for maybe a little indecision in this series could end up really hurting him in the long run macro-wise.
No, I totally agree. Even if you look at the income, things like the drone production has just been a bit behind for TLO. In the income graphs, you see that Silky has just been a good bit ahead for pretty much the entire game, it seems like.
This Overlord's really nice because it sees... What did it see the flyer attack?
I think flyer attack's
really hard to tell.
It's even if he did see it, it's pretty hard to notice in just that split second if the Spire is jiggling.
Well, what I was going to mention is that it saw that it wasn't any more mutas popping, but the timing on the eggs would have been very, very perfect.
God. Hold on, Zombie Grub. We might actually have the +1 weapon muta.
Yes.
This is a throwback.
It isn't
Season 3 of Challenger.
So, I mean, it wasn't... This +1's legit. He's once again going to get it. He got it for what was only like 8 mutas in that very first game as well. And I was surprised to see him actually finish it as opposed to cancel it. So, I don't know. He's doing it again here. He might just be setting up for a future potential swap, right? You know, apparently this game's not going to end anytime soon, so you do have those choices to make for perhaps like more of a 3 or 4 minute future decision.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. The Roaches are making their way forward, and Silky narrowly gets into position just in the nick of time. Just in the McNees of time.
Lurkadin is on the way. We already have the Hydras backing up the Roaches in the first place. They have that DPS, and as long as they're safely tucked behind, then they will add a ton of DPS, which might even work out better against the +1 Carapace, which TLO still has. He's going to have the upgrade lead for quite some time as he even starts the +2 Carapace.
Yeah, there is still going to be that Hydra DPS that Silky is relying on, even retreating back to the Spine Crawler, trying to use the choke point against TLO. TLO batters his way down the ramp, though, convinced that he can get something done over here. The Corrosive Bios do keep landing on a good chunk of Silky's army, and a lot of it is beaten and battered, but it seems like Silky is holding on for now.
He's having to use his bank on Roaches, which, might delay his Lurker production a little bit, but once he has Lurkers, then I think he's fine. And honestly, I think he's fine in this choke, defender's advantage. There's nothing else going on right now for TLO. He's not going after the 4th and canceling that. And in fact, not even going for a 4th of his own. So Silky should, I feel, think he's okay if he's here defending, and he is. And that should be fine.
There's another nice room coming up.
All right.
See if TLO cancels this one, but here we have TLO getting into a pretty decent spot. This is going to give him the concave, the hatchery blocking a lot of Silky's units. He tries to make his way around the mineral line to reclaim that concave advantage. Still just pushing TLO back, but he loses a few workers, hasn't resaturated that gas geyser, and ooh, I like this. Be able to go for a bit of a roach counterattack, may be able to turn the bit of the tide of this battle.
TLO is the one with the map coverage of Overlords. Makes sense since he showed 1 Muta. So he had reinforcements, he knew about it a little bit in advance and deals with it, but has got the monkey off his back. TLO finally retreated entirely, gave him time to get to Lurkers. Even a few Lurkers in this nice little choke was going to be enough to handle things, and TLO has found himself behind tech-wise, since I don't believe those mutas will actually work out if he decides to swap to them.
Yeah. The 1 muta died, by the way. I'm just very sad about it. I don't even know where it died. Died a lonely death. The Roaches poking on forward to the 4th base at the same time the Nidus Storm goes up inside the main base, but Silky is on top of it.
Silky is playing. It's not so much that he's playing much better. I think he is playing as solid as he was. It's just that TLO is playing a little more
indecisive.
Yeah, like his army movement, I guess, was decisive, but his tech and the flow of ZvZ is just, he's actually kind of catching up to Silky, it feels like.
Yeah, and I also think that the Lurker tech, now that Silky's been able to get to that, being caught out of position is a little bit harder for TLO to immediately take advantage of, just because the Lurkers on their own, with just a small number of units to back them up and kind of defending different locations, can be a supply-efficient way to defend a location, even if you don't have all of your units at one location. Having the Lurkers there means that it's not easy to just quickly push in and do tons and tons of damage. You need a big force to actually push in. Exactly.
Silky should be set up defensively on 4 bases. TLO, forcing his way through to the high ground, is looking for the Corrosive Bios on any part of the army.
Lurker's doing a lot of damage here as the rest of the army for Silky makes its way forward. And that army, it just looks like TLO disappears under the spikes, getting pulled under, and Silky takes the first game.
Watching the numbers there, looking at a supply was crazy.
It's always fun when you just see a lot of red, and you just think, wow, it looks like TLO is starting to probably going to break through. And then you're like, but there are 4 Lurkers under there. They should be doing damage, right? 3 seconds later, they're gone. They're all gone. The red is turned into more red, but now it's blood on the ground.
Yeah, exactly. That was very good for Silky. He did not get bamboozled by the 6th Nidus Worm this time. He didn't have an odd start with the equal early pools of the last series. That was a rather standard game where TLO was the one changing his mind, not finding the results of trying to position him out in the map. And that worries me, man. Group curse? Was it real?
Group curse, maybe. I also agree that I feel like Silky went into that mid game and was just a bit ahead for a lot of it, just because his economy was a bit ahead. Even though the worker counts eventually end up even up, as it is per usual, you kind of have an ideal number of drones you go for. Silky was the one to get to that number a bit earlier, and he was just constantly 4 to 5 drones ahead in each one of those cycles. So you just have a bit more mining, and through that bit more mining and the bit of the indecision put together for TLO, Silky had like 15 more roaches.
Yeah, I think it's the best way to put it too. It wasn't just the indecision, to be clear. It wasn't, maybe it was TLO lacking a bit of that game like planning, which is weird because TLO is usually known for that. But it also was that Silky got those lings in the natural, right? Like that happened so early on. It must have thrown TL off a little in many ways, and Silky was able to both have a clearer game plan as well as actually get the mechanical differences.
I just want to know that Silky is the only player I've seen in these photos that is not crossing his arms.
I think there was another one. I think. Well, maybe you're right.
Was there though?
Maybe you are right. I'm sorry, I doubted you.
It's okay. I'll forgive you because we got an exciting match in game number 2 up here in the top left-hand corner of the map. The blue Zerg player from Team Liquid. He is TLO.
In the bottom right, as the red Zerg up 1, he is Psystorm Gaming's Silky.
Silky looking to try and break into that upper echelon of Zerg players. North America, bit of an interesting region, and Silky's definitely been climbing his way toward the top, kind of catching up with his teammate Jon Snow. But he still needs to make a little bit deeper of a run if he wants to really start, I guess, impressing some people. And making a good run in WCS Winter is one of those big opportunities for him.
Yep. Especially by taking down TLO. I know there's a lot of different things we could talk about, basically.
We could talk about, we could also just talk about what he's doing right now. Which is
3 hatch before pool.
3 hatch before pool. 3 hatch gas, then pool. So this is one of the greediest, if not the greediest possible opening you can go for in a ZvZ.
The greediest. Yeah, that's not going to be punished. But what's funny is that when this was a bit more of a popular strategy, not the most popular because ZvZ in its early pools has always been consistent, but we did see a couple of these builds more often in the past, and it would more often go into an all-in. You think 3 hatch, you think trying to get away with this, he must be the greedier macro one, and then it would be like, no, I'm taking this third to have more larva. I'm taking this gold so I don't have to make as many drones.
Oh, especially the gold bases.
Exactly. So we'll see what TLO's plan is. Silky's, of course, going to have to figure it out first, but his second overlord, is going right to the third. It isn't dilly-dallying.
Wow, that is going to be extremely helpful. No interest in scouting out. Actually, this map specifically for the Overlord scout, this makes a lot of sense because this Overlord goes to the lower side of that ramp from the natural expansion, and the other Overlord will poke forward, see the natural expansion, and then see or just situate itself at the top of the other ramp. So he will be able to see any lings coming out across the map, but accidentally ends up scouting the third base.
Yep. I think there are some other Overlords, maybe like people would send them a little more straightforward, but it really would only be like a second's difference of scouting the third base being this quick or not. I think it's one of those things where the Zerg player's like, oh, nah, you got away with it, like, let it go. But then ultimately, with the correct decision-making and scouting, making sure that TLO isn't going for an all-in, for instance, the non-3 hatch for a pool player kind of just like catches up, so that things happen. Baneling pops off over there, Queen's lost over there, and these things aren't so dramatic.
Okay, well, Zergling speed going to be finishing up just a tad bit faster here for Silky, so it's going to allow him some additional scouting information to see, okay, you're still mining gas, and of course, just generally what's going on inside that main base as the Ling makes its way up there. I think that TLO trying to deal with it now is actually going to find it. Didn't actually go in and scout out the gas guys or anything, so it seems like Silky just has his plan, and he's going to roll with it. He's making a lot of lings, making some banelings, but this is not an abnormal time for it by any means.
No, I would have wanted that Ling maybe to survive a little bit longer to see how many exactly Lings, but his Overlords will do that as well just 2 seconds later. So he saw a huge swell, responded in kind with his own Lings and Banelings in position with defensive Queens.
Oh,
like it'll be a hold.
Some Lings running into the main base there for TLO. TLO getting some Lings into Silky's main base, and trying to turn them into Banelings. Silky is on top of it, though, catches both of them, cancels both of them. And while it doesn't cost a lot of gas, each one of those cancels does cost 4 gas for TLO.
Nice attempt to get something on the other side of the map. It is scouted by an Overlord. And, oh wow, 14 drones on the way for Silky. He's going to get a really nice scout here.
Wow.
He's going to get all the way into the main base, hide them a little bit too.
Yeah. TLO is actually even joining up even further, and did TLO not notice the 2 extra Lings that made its way into the main base? Silky is keeping him distracted with the attack on the south side of the third base, and Lings are mostly going to all get picked off, but keep an eye on those banelings that just finished up in the main. TLO now realizes it. Is he actually going to pull the drones away in time?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. One baneling does not, doesn't actually even get anything over there. Just gets a single ling.
He played with fire there. Like he must have been like, oh, you know what? I didn't check that base. and then he pulled a little late for comfort, but it worked out.
You actually kill the banelings after they've morphed, and theoretically, that's even more value than killing them before they morph.
Yeah, all right.
A few more lings over by the third base, dying to a baneling. Silky gets cleaned up, and we end up seeing both of these players starting to get up their next transitions, though. The Roach one finishing up for TLO. Roach is already on the way here for Silky.
So, Roach Warren is finishing up for TLO, but he's got +1 melee on the way, so is that a trick? And it's also a very odd location for a Roach Warren.
They got scouted though, right? Because the Lings were running around through that third base a lot. Yeah, you saw the Roach Warren right as it was being thrown down.
That's such a weird position for it, though. Like, I'm not going to read too much into it, and I don't think Silky is either, but Silky should be getting some more scouting. He had really great scouting last game. He went for faster overlord speed. Not so this game, so he might just miss out on the Spire, and he won't know about the +1 melee until he sees it on the Lings.
Okay, a couple of those Lings make their way into the main base. Roaches not quite getting the memo. We end up seeing not a whole lot getting scouted there. Oh, Silky goes for his own Nidus Worm, and a funny place as well at the front door of the natural expansion that's going to be very easy to scout. Those Lings actually getting some damage done in the main base, killing off 3 workers. That's 3 more than you want to lose to 2 Lings.
I'm hoping TLO noticed that. He did see the building, but did he click on it? Or does he think it's like an evolution chamber or something weird?
It's such a weird spot that you're right. He might actually not expect that that is, in fact, a Nidus Worm.
He has Ling. Oh, no,
He
Ling.
has a Ling on
there
patrol,
you go,
but
it
isn't going far enough.
Buddy, you're almost there. I mean, TLO has been making units since we've been talking about this.
He sees it, right?
No.
No, okay, never mind. Just out of vision.
Yeah, TLO's been making units since we've been talking about it, so he has something to defend here.
Out of position, and he's got a bunch of investment into mutas.
Yeah.
Mutas are not going to be useful here.
Also, +1 melee is not really going to help him. He never went for a ton of Lings. This might just work here. There's so many transfuses. He doesn't really take advantage of the high ground concave, but the instant reinforcements plus the queen might just be enough.
Oh my god, even a few drones being pulled in, maybe to turn his spot. No, he's just going to fight with them. But either way, he's still going to be able to bust his way through here. The queen's just not going down. Finally, the transfuses are gone. TLO getting very close to holding here, though. The mutas are still in the air. The last couple of queens are starting to go down. It's 1 muta versus 1 queen. Silky looks like he's getting pushed back, and it's relatively even worker supply.
That's good news for TLO, because he was ahead a little bit. He's able to just, be okay with that trade. I'm looking at Silky's macro, and it seems like maybe he was missing a gas for a little while, because if he had 1,000 minerals plus whatever gas needed with that for roaches, this could have been game over.
Yeah, the Nice Worm is going to finish, unfortunately, but he shouldn't unload. He's going to unload stuff. I really don't like that. I mean, you just lost all of your queens anyways. How effective is it really going to be?
I might be okay with... I don't know. It's a good question. This one, not going to do too much more damage. Silky just doesn't have a lot to put in these Nidus Worms.
In fact, he doesn't put anything out of that Nidus Worm. It goes down pretty quickly. And Silky, he still has that +1 weapons upgrade advantage. Oh, wait, no, sorry. TLO just finished his own. So now Silky is going to be playing a bit from behind with +2 starting up immediately for TLO. And Silky not really thinking about that next transition point for the upgrades.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate, If they're behind that attack where he kills 15+ drones, he has a faster carapace for +2, and his 4th base is put down a lot faster too. That's all done, /70% done, and he is still in a macro lead despite losing with a Nidus attack with all those queens. But there definitely was a stall out, on the next step. Maybe he thought I could have win with this all in. We certainly did.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of said I didn't need to think about the next step. But that might be what brings TLO back in the game, and then some.
Okay, 4th base getting canceled there for Silky. He knows that his opponent has a 4th base going up. So interesting is going for this. Nidus Worm being thrown down for TLO now.
Stop it.
And a Lurker Den as well. Is he going to... The Lurker Den takes quite a bit of time, so I don't think he's going to wait for the Lurker Den to finish.
No, I'm thinking they're both still there's a lot of game to be played out, right? Even though that was a dedicated attack by Silky. 4th bases are on the way for both parties, and Nidus Worms have been played today by now both players in a more maybe macro sense, just finding their opponent out of position, as well as the more all-in sense.
Yeah, the Overlord's getting knocked back for Silky by that one Muta. Is kind of annoying though, and I bet Silky wishes he could do the same to deny that vision, because he's got that Nidus Worm going up in the main base. He has, wow, the most unreal star sense about it. Immediately sends some roaches over there, and he should be able to get very close to cleaning this up in time.
I guess he barely got a glimpse of the Nidus Worm, or just like was like, you know what, TLO does TLO things.
That's that spawning pool.
Yeah, well, so that is a cleanup. And relatively easily. Roaches over here, though. Oh, this is much better.
Oh, yeah, killing off a hatchery. That's a big win. Silky had to cancel his own 4th base, have that delayed. He's getting up his own 4th base a little bit further down south, and he wants to be able to defend it. TLO trying to push forward, but not able to break Silky yet.
TLO is about to have a 2 upgrade lead. That is kind of scary, but he might not be able to actually hit it.
Yeah, it's going to be a very narrow window. Maybe another 15 seconds left.
Yeah, wow, that was exactly what it was. 15.
I'm really good at judging the distance of bars from other bars.
So you'd be very useful for bar hopping. Yeah.
I am a good person for bar hopping.
Yeah. 5 lurkers are on the way. So this is where Silky has now lost a little bit in that tech war, where he was so ahead in that last game, and he has to wait a very long time.
Wait, hold on. Did they both? They both Nidus Worm at the exact same time.
They did.
Could we go into Nidus Worm base trade territory?
Yes, absolutely, especially with lurkers.
Oh my god. Well, TLO isn't actually the one that's unloading any units just yet. In fact, it looks like his gets caught.
Oh,
the
yeah, retreat,
lurkers are not here either.
Well, yeah, I'm glad that he retreated. He didn't kill the lurkers. He couldn't kill them fast enough.
Yeah.
And they would have chunked away at those low roaches, so I'm glad he did.
Doesn't have a detection over here, so these Spine Crawlers are going to die to the lurkers. Overseer is being morphed in. Has to be careful. He's losing a lot of roaches to that lurker fire. This is so problematic for Silky right now in this defense.
Yeah, it's really bad that lurkers got this close without him tearing them down, and that's the benefit of the Nidus Worm, but he is trying to use the Corrosive Biles to take them out one by one. It's just so difficult. They're not necessarily that clumped up, and now he's just pinned back into this little tiny section of his 3rd base, which goes down along with a couple drones.
Oh boy, and even as Silky tries to move in to deal with the rest of the roaches, the lurkers still cause problems. GG gets called. TLO ties up the series 1-1.
It was close, though. Silky almost had the great attack with the queens. And if he had maybe been a little more willing to macro out of that faster, he might have even still had a lead beyond that. But no, TLO brings it back.
Yeah, well done by TLO. The double Nidus Worm play at the same time was a little bit funny of a way to finish the game.
Yeah.
But we get ready to move into game number 3. We've seen some cool play from both sides. TLO, the one that I would say getting a little bit on the weirder side, but for the most part, I would say both of them willing to throw out a couple of 1-2 punches. The Nidus Worm response from Silky, it is one of those like, screw you, man, I can do this too. Like, I remember that last series.
Yeah. We are seeing the highlights of Nidus Worm play, though. This isn't just like, wow, why are they doing this all the time? Like, while it's still maybe a question mark if the investment is truly worth it, we see why it's very useful. Getting your army out of position, but then also in that last fight, getting the lurkers just there on the 3rd base instantly is big. One
of my favorite moments from some of the previous days, I believe it was Go-Go Joey, was one of the players that went for, in a ZvZ, he got a Nidus Worm out, and he didn't unload a ton of units. He unloaded maybe 4 or 5 roaches, and he unloaded 3 lurkers and just sat the 3 lurkers at the top of the ramp. The other roaches were able to clean up the rest of the main base, kill off a lair, a hive, a bunch of the tech, and the lurkers just prevented you from easily moving up that ramp and actually getting into a good defensive position. So I love that kind of stuff. I feel like we could be seeing more of it with the new Nidus Worm change, being cheaper, having more hit points, etc.
I do agree, especially if it's going to be on some high-profile matches and someone's going to be trying it. I know that it's a very frustrating experience. You know, I don't deal with Nidus Worms very often, but I watch Nidus Worms that are effective, and it's just like how much they just vomit out army.
It's
how fast it goes.
Similar feeling to being a Zerg player or something, or like even a Protoss. Actually, any player that has a Warp Prism with 4 sentries unload your main base, and you're like, oh.
No, okay. I like your analogy, but for a different reason. It's like watching a warp prism, and you're like, well, that's only 4 zealots. That can't be harmful to me. And then it just warps in 18, and you're like, no.
Oh no. I feel like every Nidus room in my head, it operates under quantum mechanics. It both has banelings, queens, roaches, and lurkers in it, and all at the exact same time until I observe what the first unit is coming out.
Yeah, it's like no way could they possibly all be on the front waiting.
They're all the first unit that's gonna come out. Because I'm like ready there to pull out the probes. I'm like, there's gonna be banelings there. I know this time it's gonna be banelings.
Well, Nidus Swarm might be one of the, like, you know, the timeline clause thing, I felt like a lot of Zergs towards the end of last year were saying that was too annoying.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch, but I understand their point. Like, it was just the absurdity that is having to respond to timeline clause roaches with more roaches makes it inherently a very, very useful, you know, tool to use, maybe even too useful. That kind of died off, but maybe Nidus Swarm is going to be the new complaint. The whole, like, look, it unloads way too fast, it's too cheap, I can't respond quick enough, even with creep, even with detection. Maybe that'll be the future.
And that's why we get one Muta zombie grab to clean up overlords.
Lord. And
but then
+1.
But then you use your Muta, and your opponent goes for +1 weapons. You go for +1 carapace, so your Muta survives longer in the fight and wins the Muta fight. And then you have Muta superiority to Nidus Swarm at your disposal.
Anyways.
Starting up here at the top left-hand corner of the map, we have the blue Zerg player from Team Liquid. He is the little one.
The bottom right, as the red Zerg for Psystorm, it is Silky.
We do have a pool first here from TLO, not a 12 or 13-12 or anything like that. Just a regular old pool first, 16 pool.
Actually, it might have been a hatch then pool instead of hatch gas pool.
Oh, wait, you're right. I got thrown off because I saw the pool before the gas geyser.
No, I'm totally with you. I would have been thrown off too, but I was trying to watch because Silky went for a 16 hatch, I believe, and TLO was actually waiting. And it's like, it's very like tiny differences, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, 16 hatch kind of coming in to help against early pools, but then we have TLO going for this pool before gas, which is like, what exactly does that mean? Because if you're going to go for the hatch first, it's usually just full on into the gas second.
Yeah, and usually the reason why you also go for a gas then pool is the timing of it ends up working out really, really nicely where you just barely get close to having 100 gas to start up Zergling speed right when that spawning pool finishes up. As you can see on Silky's side of the map, he's up to about 80 gas. He's going to have Zergling speed up in just a matter of moments time if he decides to go for it, because he could still also go for a lair, but nope. Pulls off of gas, starts up Zergling speed, and TLO is just going to be a tad bit later.
I do wonder if this is just like that nice, it's like middle of the road, like I got to hatch first, but then I also got to pool at a very reasonable time. Because it wasn't like hatch, I don't think anyways, it wasn't hatch and then 2 drones and then pool, which can happen too. So it might have been like, yeah, I got to hatch first, but I also wouldn't die to, you know, an early Ling.
Yeah, it's important to find that kind of happy medium. You want to cut the corners that you can in StarCraft, but as soon as you overextend just a little bit too much, things will end up backfiring on you very quickly. You can just instantly end up losing the game off of that mistake. But we got a Baneling Nest coming down for TLO. I think that he left only 1 drone in gas, so it's likely not going to be a super offensive Baneling Nest.
Yeah.
Same thing for Silky as well.
Yep, both doing that ZvZ third base thing. They get third bases, they check to see their opponent got third bases, and then they maybe get, like, again, 14 Lings. You can technically try and skip the Baneling Nest and do some, like, faux pressure, you know, and then be like, aha, I'm actually getting roaches behind this. But that is a tricky thing to really pull off. So the safest, most standard way, do this. Get a Baneling Nest, poke a little, maybe build 2 Banelings, and then who has more drones at the end?
Well, so far it is going to be TLO who does add on just a few more drones, going up about 4 above Silky so far. Silky investing into a few more of those Banelings as he walks in with a Zergling, gets a full scout, sees an evolution chamber down, sees, okay, cool, you don't have a fast lair, you did get Zergling speed. Everything is looking normal on both sides, and Silky just goes back into droning himself.
TLO's getting a few more lings than really necessary, so maybe he's planning on applying pressure to the third base. Both evolution chambers should be starting up +1 missile, and in fact they are. I mean, I'm only mentioning that because TLO went for that melee that I thought was going to kill him last game. I was just like, how was that useful? And then it wasn't really useful, but it didn't kill him either.
If only drones benefited from melee. Then
They
it
really
actually would have been helpful.
They really should. I mean, the pincer claw on the melee upgrade looks like a drone pincer claw.
Absolutely. I mean, they even have saw blades and some of the other wonderful Zerg skins.
Yeah, definitely doesn't look like a saw blade.
These don't. These aren't. I also really appreciate that Cyril used the Brood War as drone skin.
Yeah.
I like that. I don't actually see many Zerg players use the Brood War drone skin.
I am gonna just say something I shouldn't say, and that I don't actually like the Brood War skins that much.
That's fine. You know what? That is the most beautiful thing about the skin Zombie Grub, is that you can pick and choose the skins that reflect your personality and who you want to be.
Something you can't say about real life.
You can. It's just not legal.
Okay.
No.
Well, banelings are found out to the left side. Not that there's a ton of them, but they could have tried getting whatever drones at the third base.
Baneling's going off on just individual lings. Not exactly entirely ideal there for TLO. But it is just going to be light pressure from both sides. Roach is on the way for Silky, and Layer's finishing up at the exact same time. +1 weapon's going to be finishing up nearly the same time. And the game is still looking relatively even, with just a bit of a supply lead for Silky because he begins his roaches a bit earlier.
Uh-oh, cancel.
Whoop!
There's a few too many lings to try and get that to outgrow, I guess, the damage. Grows, right?
Yeah.
But these are kind of quick fourth bases. I guess there is kind of a gentleman's agreement going on. There wasn't really a ton or any lane baneling pressure. This stuff not really included. And then the fourth bases are going down at equal time, so it's, you know, into the macro. Negastorm, canceled. Canceled.
Oh my god, these guys are actually just imitating each other. Silky went for the Negastorm and then canceled it.
Yeah.
This is great.
And he didn't replace it either, so it really was just like a Nightisworm?
No, he's gonna throw down a Spire and make one Muta now, Zombie Grub.
Oh my god. And get the upgrade for it.
Yeah.
Ugh,
But he'll go for Carapace.
Just as weird things coming out here from our Zerg players. Although not really this game. Oh, whoops, you missed that one. This game it is, with the Nightisworm being canceled, it is rather straightforward. Both getting +2 missile around the same time. TLO a little ahead. Fourth base is 62 workers versus 66. Okay, Silky's going to be a big baller. Money.
Yep, those 3-4 drones, just so important. Gonna bring in all the extra dough.
Wow, look at these Carapace upgrades. Isn't that sick? Isn't that a beautiful thing?
Carapace upgrades?
Over to the right side? Oh. You're not watching the preview monitor. What's wrong with you? Actually, no, it would have been on your monitor as well.
Yeah, but there's no Carapace upgrades that finished.
Pneumatized Carapace.
Oh, pneumatized Carapace. Okay, I was very confused because I was looking for armor upgrades.
Do I always have to say pneumatized? It's a weird word. I don't like saying it.
Pneumatized?
What does it even mean?
I don't know. The only words that I actually know that sound that way, that begin with PNEU or something, is pneumonia? Yeah. Can't be a good thing.
Okay.
Either way, though, it makes those Overlords go fast, and fast they shall go to scout around the map. TLO has some great map vision, and Silky does have a lot better Overlord spread this game, although TLO's been pretty active about sending out those Ravagers, trying to clean those up. Now poking up that ramp, Silky gets in a position just in the nick of time and should be able to maintain that concave at the top of the ramp.
I mean, they really are. If you watch the mini-map, it's like watching like bugs underneath a carpet or something. Like there's just a lot of patrolling Overlords, and it's kind of creepy.
How strong are the bugs that you watch that they can move a carpet?
Well, I'm thinking of a very skinny carpet, I suppose, where you see like, okay, maybe there's like a paper towel over a bunch of
Okay, that's fair. By the way, Roach counterattack from Silky in the natural expansion gets a couple of workers killed. TLO deals with that, but we'll see where those drop Overlords are going to be going.
TLO is also going for the Tunneling Claws upgrade, so he's going to be more harassment-oriented, where Silky going for just the strong units. Lurker Den on the way, but he is already taking damage from the main base attack. Now this fourth base might be under attack.
Silky's doing some of his own damage with 3 Roaches in the bottom left, but TLO handles that very, very quickly. The Roaches for Silky are having a hard time keeping up with the Tunneling Clawed Roaches of TLO, darting back and forth, really pulling them apart right now.
If he sets one of these overseers in the oversight mode, or how the heck it is, then it would be helpful. You don't have to worry about F2ing it or getting your spore crawler sniped or something along those lines, but not thinking about it right now. He has dealt with the main base. Or no, actually, they just went to the natural base.
Yeah.
It's not quite over.
Yep, and they start going after one of the queens, killing off a couple of these drones, and now we end up seeing TLO diving in on top of this army. Silky trying to move into his natural expansion to try and defend, but gets pushed back. TLO having to retreat, but he's doing damage over by the 4th base. Silky just relying on the spine crawlers to buy some time there. He needs a bit more time for those road reinforcements to get there.
He's going to lose more drones. He is still ahead in drones, although it's not getting worse. Hopefully it's, please move. And it's not even evened up here, but Silky finding that attack going well for him, partially because TLO had so many roaches elsewhere. He doesn't have an army supply lead, but maybe more army here ready to go. He had an upgrade lead, no longer the case.
Yeah, he had a faster lurker den by a substantial margin, but he didn't actually have a chance to make any Hydras themselves. And now he's got the Nidus Worm in his main base. I don't know if he's going to be looking to make any Hydras and take advantage of the faster lurker den anytime soon.
Yeah, there's so much going on here. Silky thought he had an open opportunity to counter. That wasn't the case. That could have been the time where he got Hydras and Lurkers, but instead he was overzealous perhaps, now forced to retreat back to deal with a Nidus Worm that at the very least bought time. And oh my god, the double wombo combo that saves 8 roaches.
Yep. And of course, at the same time, Silky, I love that despite all of the aggression he has been under, he says, no, let's take it up to dial it up to 11 and just continue with the APM just everywhere. That was a very eloquent way of me saying that he is also trying to put on counter damage. He's trying to tax TLO's APM as much as TLO's trying to tax his.
Fear Dragon says APM good.
Fear Dragon, APM good, Silky, fast, TLO, fast, good game, good ZzZ.
Is there any better commentary? I don't think so.
Trying to break it down. I'm trying to keep it simple for everyone, guys.
Yeah. Silky might have finally been caught out of position truly and entirely. He is running back with his Ravagers on the front lines. They could be sniped, but Corrosive Bile's hitting a lot of TLO's army.
Yeah, Concave heavily favoring Silky over here. Tunneling Cloud Roach is trying to get in on top of the Ravagers so that he doesn't have to worry about trying to focus fire down each individual one. A lot of them going down here for Silky. And it looks like TLO's getting so close to maybe breaking through. A lot of the Roaches getting choked up there on the ramp for Silky. The faster reinforcements may be what he needs to push this back, though.
Yeah, Silky is taking care of this. Meanwhile, he's getting some drone kills over at TLO's 3rd base. TLO retreats into the Nidus Worm to take care of that, but 10 drones have gone down. TLO down to 38 workers, down 30 army supply, no other advantages in sight. Did he just make a massive mistake? Silky wasn't out of position as much as he thought, as I thought, and actually takes the victory there.
That was an insane series of engagements. The trades back and forth, but like you said, TLO is in a desperate and dire spot right now. 37 workers to 58. The longer this game goes on, the faster Silk is going to remax. We're already seeing his army supply climbing so much faster. TLO is investing into the lurkers, and that is one of the ways that he can say, you know what, as long as I get these into a good position, I can still maybe take a good fight or buy some myself a little bit more time. Another nice one going up in the main base for Silky, and if Silky doesn't get anything there in time, there is a chance that the lurkers can unburrow onto the top of that ramp, make it very difficult for Silky to defend that main.
It's a very good point. He's on top of it, though, and he's also chasing down the rest of these roaches, taking care of that Nidus Worm. Here come the lurkers. Silky has a couple of Ravagers, though, that could try and take them out.
These Ravagers can push back these lurkers if they're too far forward, but he's actually keeping them a decent distance back. You have to move up that ramp if you actually want to be able to get up there.
There might be a base race incoming. Silky cannot send... I mean, if these units came home, what would they really do? They go up a ramp, same as everything else, and die on that ramp. So he's going to initiate a very weird game. Gets the tech. The Roach tech is going to get a hatchery, although it looks like with the Nidus Swarm capabilities of TLO, he returns home to make sure the base race doesn't happen. That does mean he has less defending his lurkers. They are finally broken. TLO's only took damage, though.
Yeah, the surprising thing for me is that Silky didn't end up losing that much, though. TLO taps out. GG, and Silky says that TLO stands for the losing one, and Silky advances on 2-1 over his German counterpart.
Why you gotta be harsh like that, man? You're gonna do that to him.
I gotta be clever. Sometimes. Once in every 10 puns that I make.
It's gotta be a good one.
It has to be a 5 out of 10 at least.
But that's actually really huge, you know? I think there was a lot of people when TLO was thinking about the idea of going to WCS going to Canada and going to the
Americas,
Americas, he a lot of people were like, yeah, he's going to stomp all over him. He's only going to have trouble when he reaches the top 8 or something, right? Yeah. And I'm not sure he was totally on board that, himself, but anyone who was saying that, I see you in chat. There was someone there. You're wrong. He loses in the round of 32.
Congratulations to Silky. American Zerg player is going to be able to move on and did a great job in that in ZvZ. And also just adapting and reacting and, I guess, improving across today because he lost that first series versus TLO. Really struggled with the Nidus Swarm. Started using his own Nidus Swarms, and I thought he did a great job with it. But, ladies and gentlemen, as we recap the day, we had an awesome, awesome day of Group Gs for StarCraft. From the Americas division, we finish out with Coffee taking a 2-0 there, and of course going up to the next round, the group stage 2. He's going to be joined by Silky, who goes 2-1. TLO, unfortunately, does get knocked out alongside Seether, and are now both out of WCS Winter. Unfortunately, that's the way the tournaments work. Players lose, and they get knocked out. I wish they could all be in here, Zombie Grub.
Yeah, especially you in the Americas. It's
yeah,
like they're all my children.
That's very true.
Yeah.
But, I'm happy for Silky.
I know. Yeah. I know you are.
Well, if you guys missed the European part of the broadcast, we also had a awesome group of StarCraft that played out there as well. We had, I believe it was Cyril and Namshar, the two players that I think a lot of people may have predicted. But man, have I got to say, go check out Soul Spirit. This guy played really, really great StarCraft, especially great ZvZ versus Cyril and Namshar. And Ziggy showed some great mech games as well. So big shout outs to both of the players who didn't quite make it out of the group, but showed some great games.
Yep. Got a couple of fun series. I will say the ZvZs of this group were the highlight, but Europe had a couple of its own cheeky TVZs that were fun as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, both of these guys, Cyril and Namshar, are super duper awesome. In fact, they got some great Twitters. Namshar, a very humble guy, saying, complete disaster of a performance versus Cyril, but happy still to be through to the round of 16. GG's. Great guy. Go check him out. Namshar SC2 on Twitter. Very, very humble guy for the most part.
So is Cyril. He responded to that with unlucky.
Yeah. Unlucky, but he didn't say UNLUCKY. He missed the C in unlucky. It was unlucky with just a K. Just a K. Unlucky. Yeah. Oh, apparently we actually have a Cyril quote as well. Oh, I really thought, I was 99% convinced I was going to say unlucky.
Yeah, I was like, is that
2-0 twice and advance to the top 16. Hashtag WCS. Hashtag easy for Ents. Ladies and gentlemen, is Cyril being BM? Is he saying that this was easy for Ents Esports? Him being the Ents Esports player here? Did he just call his entire group easy?
It's not his fault.
That's their Twitch chat to find out.
It's not his fault his team has a really awesome slogan.
I know. It's actually so funny when you think about it. It is a very offensive slogan, but then Cyril is the most well-mannered person that exists.
Yeah, I love his tweets, man. It's like
great.
Because the alternative is someone who's very good at the game and doesn't do any Twitter activity whatsoever. So Cyril's like, here's a factual statement.
No, you joke about that, but at Montreal, I went up behind Cyril during one of my breaks when I wasn't casting, and I'm like hanging out there with Cyril, and I'm like, hey, what are you up to, man? And he's like, I'm making my tweets. I'm like, oh. He's making one of the tweets, the Cyril tweets. And I'm sitting there. He straight up spends like 15, 20 minutes crafting this tweet. And every single time I'm making these joke suggestions, like you should say, okay, I'm going to easily destroy my group. I hope that my opponents don't quit StarCraft after how demotivated I destroy them. He's like, no, it's way too offensive, blah, blah, blah. And he just writes like the most calm, nice, well-mannered thing possible. He puts a lot of thought and love and care into each one of those tweets. So go like it, go favorite, and go follow him on Twitter if you haven't already. But ladies and gentlemen, that is it for our StarCraft today. That's going to wrap things up. We do have more StarCraft coming your way tomorrow, as I believe that is going to be the final group for WCS Group Stage 1 for WCS Winter. We do have a second group stage as well. It's going to be happening Thursday through Sunday. But guys, hope you had a wonderful, wonderful day with all of us here at the WCS Winter Studios. We'll see you tomorrow, same time as always. Take care.